Welcome to When Not Yet Becomes Right Now, the podcast where we dive deep into the moments of transformation, the times when not yet shifts into right now and everything changes. I'm your host, Ginty, and this podcast is all about those pivotal moments in our life journeys. You know the ones, when the hesitation fades, when we take that first step, even if it feels like a leap. It's in these moments that growth and healing begins. Each episode will explore stories of resilience, moments of clarity, and the sparks that ignite real change. From personal experiences to expert insights, we'll uncover how people navigate the complex journey we call life and come out stronger on the other side. Whether you're searching for that spark in your own life or just curious about how change unfolds for others, you're in the right place. We'll discuss the ups and downs, the breakthroughs and setbacks, and how to embrace the right now, even when it feels out of reach. Because sometimes the hardest part of the journey is realizing that the moment you've been waiting for has already arrived. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to When Not Yet Becomes Right Now. Today's guests, Helene Zupanc and Beth Valdez, first met in graduate school at Northern Arizona University and instantly clicked, thanks to their shared love of dogs, humor, counseling, and of course, mantras. Both are licensed professional counselors who've worked across diverse mental health and educational settings, and together they co-authored Sticky Note Mantras, The Art and Science of Choosing Your Thoughts, a playful, practical guide to mindful living with bite-sized wisdom and a splash of sass. Drawing from their own experiences with OCD, anxiety, ADHD, and everyday what-if spirals, Helene and Beth are passionate about making mental wellness accessible, grounded, and even fun. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so excited for our conversation. So let's get into it. I'm going to ask both of you, what is your origin story? And also, what made this friendship bloom for you?
Do you want to go,
Beth? Either way. Sure, I'll go. Like you said, Beth and I met in graduate school, and she is one of the most awesome, funny, kind people that I've ever met. And I'm so lucky to have her in my life. This whole project has been so amazing for both of us, I think. And it started a long time ago. For me, I had OCD as a child and into high school and college and didn't really know what was going on. And it was pretty severe. And my mom, who also has OCD, and I started making up phrases to kind of break the cycle, because it is a really big cycle of doubt. And those just really helped me kind of get off autopilot, because I was doing the same thing for so many years. One of my favorites is that's a brain glitch. I don't have to pay attention to that thought, or, there's so many, acknowledging what it is and then moving forward with the next steps that I know are going to be helpful has always been great. So the mantras have been like an integral part of my life since I was younger. And then when I met Beth, we found out that we both kind of use these little bite-sized nuggets of wisdom, and they both like really, really changed our lives. And then we started using them with our clients, and we found the same thing. We always said, here, we want to write a sticky note, just stick it to you. Like, this is what we want you to think about for the whole week. Because a lot of times you leave counseling and, they forget everything that we talked about doing in the first day. Just like all of us, you read a good article and it goes out the window when you're, let's say it's about parenting and you're parenting your child and you're like, I have no idea what I just read. So really creating those little cues help in so many areas of our lives.
That's wonderful. And I'm going to ask you, and I've spoken about OCD before on the show, but I think there's not enough understanding of what OCD is. My brother grew up with OCD, and I was that person that your mother was for you, who helped him through the compulsive behaviors and the obsessive thoughts. And I think a lot of people use the term OCD very, very loosely and not correctly.
I agree.
So would
Yeah.
you just give us a little better understanding of OCD?
Sure. And I actually treat clients with OCD now. It's my main gig, and I really love it. So basically, OCD is when you have what are first called obsessions. So something, and they're very ego dystonic, the thoughts, which means they're very opposite of your values, and really attack the things you care about. So for me, I was a really sensitive person, and I always would worry that, oh, what if someone misunderstands me? They didn't take me right. What if something happens to the ones I love? All those kind of things. I had so many different now they've identified all these subtypes. I think I had quite a few subtypes. It was just all thrown in there. But so the obsessions, that's what kind of gets you to start doubting. Is you'll have, and people with OCD, their mind just kind of makes up the worst case scenario. And it just is very haunting and very exhausting because you're really trying to prevent these things from happening, which of course is ridiculous. And it's ridiculous because most people with OCD are smart and they're compassionate, but it's something they just can't let go of. And then in comes the compulsions, which is basically something you do to neutralize or to make these bad feelings or thoughts go away. But it's a slippery slope because it's a cycle, and you might do some reassurance seeking or some physical rituals or whatever it is that you think will neutralize these bad thoughts. And it doesn't work. It just keeps going in that cycle. So we need to find something to break the cycle, because otherwise it's just a miserable phenomenon. It's really kind of a jerk of a disorder. It just attacks what you care about the most. And it's something that you recognize as being senseless as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a little bit of the background. It's very genetic. And a lot of times, your brains are just wired a little bit differently. And trying to figure out how to deal with that and overcome it is the most freeing thing in the world.
Yes. Yeah. I totally understand that. And I get prickly when people say, oh, that's my OCD.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's not a good
yeah,
use of I'm a little OCD or something like that. If
it can be
anybody really had it,
debilitating.
it is extremely
Yes.
debilitating.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So yeah, that is my little PSA. Please do not use my, I'm a little OCD or that's my
Yeah,
OCD. It's really important that people understand that that can be a very debilitating mental health concern.
definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you for
So
that.
Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, origin story. So,
Yes.
growing up, ADHD really wasn't on the radar back when I was growing up. I think maybe as I got into middle and high school, we'd heard about it, but these were the kids that couldn't sit still and were, kind of that was kind of the stereotypical. But I definitely ADHD, could see it, genetic. My father definitely runs in our family, and didn't diagnose until I was in graduate school and was like, huh, this sounds like me. This sounds like me. This is me. And so, and all good things, ADHD did a deep dive and really kind of have made it my life's kind of work and passion. It's got me into counseling. It's kind of the area that I specialize. But I just remember being, that for me, it was definitely the inattention and the hyperactivity of thought, that overthinking piece, when something got hold and you could overthink you could create any scenario in your mind and any doomsday scenario just by spiraling and overthinking. And it took a really long time to figure out, like, oh, hey, you don't have to do that. And just like she used mantras, I would kind of thought, I was like, I'm using quotes. So I'd pull both quotes from books and from poems, and Nike Just Do It, when that was kind of I would use those to kind of pull me out of that thought loop, like, because I could just get stuck and overthink. And ADHD is kind of that, there's a problem with the braking system, and I had no brakes. And so my brain could spin endlessly. And, sometimes you couldn't fall asleep and just, why aren't you paying attention? I'm like, well, I'm stuck in my thought loop. I'm overthinking something from a long time ago. So
Of course.
naturally I'm not paying attention. And so when she had met and we were talking about how we use these phrases, and she came up with mantras, and I'm like, mantras, that's so much easier than saying I pull phrases from books and poems and songs. And so we just kind of bonded over that. And we shared I being, ADHD awkward, was like, hey, you want to see pictures of my dogs? That really just kind of bloomed the friendship over that. Like you mentioned, we started kind of writing this book a long time ago, and it was very serious and very academic. And Helene came up with the idea, why don't we make this more accessible and relatable? I'm reading all these great books like Unfuck Your Brain and, what's it, ones like that. And I was like, perfect. We should make this. We should make this for anyone who picks up a book, can make it easy to read. Because a lot of self-help books, you read it and they're like, you kind of get lost in their theories or, case stories. But I think this one's fun and relatable. And we love it because it's personable. You get to create your own mantras, the things that resonate most with you. So it's not just I'm saying I'm giving you, although you're welcome to borrow ours. I think ours are brilliant. But it come up with their own and the things that kind of cue their brain and recognize what direction they want to go into. And so I think it's been an easy sell. I think people really like that idea that they get to create their own and make it personal. And it kind of falls under that cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance commitment therapy kind of umbrella. And it works. It really does cue the brain into moving into another direction. So it's been fun. And thank goodness I met Helene. Helene is obviously all the nice things she said about me, the nice. And we've had a blast doing the project together.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'd like to go back to, so Beth, you also had talked a bit about catastrophizing and how the ADHD brain can catastrophize. And I think it's very important for people to understand what that is and how that happens for people with ADHD. Could you explain it a little more?
Absolutely. I'm like a gold medalist in catastrophizing. So I'm well versed.
Me too.
It's one of those cognitive distortions. And, without breaks, we can come up with a scenario and then we doomsday it. We can continue to make it bigger and bigger and worse and worse. And we can spiral down that path. And I tell people all the time when I work with clients, like, when you're spiraling and you're catastrophizing, you will not fix anything in your head. You are just going down that. You got to get out of your head. And it just makes everything feel scarier. It really triggers anxiety into preventing you from do things that probably aren't as scary as we're building it up into our mind. So we create all this anticipatory anxiety. We talk ourselves out of amazing opportunities because they seem scary, because we're coming up with this doomsday scenario that's really just our survival brain trying to protect us. Like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. You might not be safe. But, our survival brain doesn't determine whether a bear is about to eat you or someone's going to hurt your feelings. So it constantly is turning that on, which kind of perpetuates that whole catastrophizing and doomsday cycle. So recognizing that, we always talk about awareness is where all the magic happens. It's like, oh my gosh, here I am catastrophizing. I'm naming it to taming it. And then, now I can throw in my mantra, like, you know what? It's going to work out. Just you do the hard thing and tomorrow is going to come and it's all going to work out. And so that was kind of the path that has helped me with specifically catastrophizing was, oh my gosh, it was so helpful. Because getting out of your head, that is, so hard to do sometimes, but the phrases and awareness really help you recognize why you should and how to get there.
Kind of create those new neural pathways because we spend so long creating these, and a lot of times they're tied to our vulnerabilities or we all have something, right? With ADHD or OCD. So when we've been thinking the same way for a long time, it's like a road that your brain has built. And then when you want to build a new one, it's like a grass field, but then restart and drive down there with some of these new thoughts and it becomes trimmed and it becomes more of a path. And then eventually it'll become the road that your brain always takes. It just takes a little work to get there.
Yeah. It's interesting, the neurodivergent brain and the complex PTSD brain may share some things. Do you agree with that? That neurodivergence
Definitely.
and complex PTSD have very similar aspects? Okay.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of where we're going from, is that this can apply to all kinds of different things. And that it's a simple process, but it's actually really works.
Yeah. So why don't you explain a little bit about how these mantras, they do change the neuron pathways or create new neuron pathways?
Little one learning to navigate their big emotions? Meet My Moody Monster, the pull-apart buddy to help kids understand and manage their feelings. With its fun, interactive design, Moody turns tough feelings into teachable moments, giving your child a playful way to express themselves. Whether it's after a rough day or when those big frustrations hit, Moody is there to lend a hand. Perfect for calming down or even just a cuddle. My Moody Monster helps your child communicate their emotions while learning healthy coping skills. Go to mymoodymonster.com to learn about Moody today.
Do you want me to take that?
Sure, go
Well,
ahead.
so, right, we have like neural pathways, these little, just think of it as like a roadmap. And as we use it, we reinforce that and it builds and it connects. And the more we use it, the more that habit, the more automatic it becomes. We don't even have to think it because it's a really strong neural network. Well, if we want to change that habit, we need to create that new neural network or pathway. And we need to strengthen it by practicing it through practice makes permanent. We need to practice. In the beginning, it feels so uncomfortable, just like you mentioned, because, the first time you sled down a hill, right? It's not quite as fast, but as you lay that path and it gets smoother and smoother, that path gets easier and easier and easier to sled. It's the same thing as we practice those things and build up that neural network. The more we practice it, the bigger it gets, the thicker that little neural network is. And now it's more accessible and it's connected to those other neural networks. So it can be triggered, like say, I'm trying to build up a new habit of getting up in the morning and meditating. Well, the more I practice it, the more that network is going to be laid, the thicker and more accessible. So in the morning when my alarm clock goes off and I feel rushed, I still have that neural network that says, maybe meditation is still an option here. Is there a way for you to figure it out? Whether if that's a thin one and I haven't practiced it, that just goes right out the window, right? I'm like, forget it. I'm not. It doesn't contribute to that habit. So our brain is so plastic, the plasticity, we can change it and meld it. It's just through, practicing and unlearning the old habit, replacing it with the new habit. And then you just practice it until it becomes more routine and feels easier and you build up that neural network. So we can always change. They've done so much great research about how even if you lose something that you can't, like say you lose how to bend your elbow, your brain can build around that to use a different network to possibly learn to use that elbow again. That's how amazing our brain is. We fall into that survival mode of like, doomsday, we can't do this, we can't do that. And a lot of times we end up limiting ourselves, but we can believe and understand that our brain is malleable. It can change. It just, sometimes requires a little bit of guidance, support, and a little bit of hard work. And yeah, you can build it.
Kind of why mantras are so perfect, because they're so repetitive and they're easy. And if you make them funny, they're even easier to remember. We love that. And it just really helps you to refocus when it might not seem possible otherwise.
It's amazing that our brains can do what they do. And we don't even really know everything that our brains can do, right? And there's so many nice modalities out there now. Back in the day in the 80s, when I was going through, post-traumatic stress through childhood, and my brother going through OCD and figuring out how his way of life needed to change so he could help himself. It's so nice to now know that there are so many different modalities that we can use. I myself use EMDR. And I guess that's very similar in the sense of watching patterns. Is that
Yeah,
how it
basically
works?
we both do EMDR as well as
Oh, okay.
therapists. And I love it. I think it really kind of identifies things you may have assumed about yourself or others or the world. And where you made that assumption, kind of taking a look at it, holding it up to light. Like, is this really something that I want to believe? Or is it just something that was kind of pushed on me? Or, so many different circumstances. And this is across all different mental health platform or genres. And that a lot of illnesses hold the same ideas. They hold the same issues, kind of like what we were talking about, ADHD and OCD. I mean, there's a lot of catastrophizing in OCD too. So kind of these basic building blocks of mental health, and you can apply it to so many issues.
That's wonderful. So let's get into these mantras. What were the mantras that started you guys off together?
Just getting
Oh
my
my
book
gosh.
out.
There we go.
We have so many. We have themes in the book on perfectionism, positive self-concept, concept, laughter as medicine, rediscovering curiosity, acceptance, forgiveness, letting go, living simply, being present, self-care, self-compassion, all the kind of the basic building blocks of mental health. So I know we both have our favorites. I kind of mentioned one about mine with OCD. Betsy, you have one you want to share?
Oh, I so many, and they change regularly. But so right now I have people will people. So, sometimes I'd be like, oh, people, but I love just people because I'm letting go of the things I can't control, right? I cannot control people.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to do what people are going to do. So that has been one I've been using a lot. But going back, just do it. Like I mentioned, that was like a lot of times with ADHD, you kind of get this decision paralysis where there's so many options and you just like freeze and you don't do anything. And so that just do it cued me like, just pick one. It's going to be good enough. So just go with it. So just do it was one of the ones that I used growing up a lot. And then pulling from songs, I totally stole this one from Helene. A little less conversation, a little more action from Elvis. Oh my gosh. Every time I hear that, I'm like, yes, quit talking about it. Just go do it. You got this. And so, yeah, I have little sticky notes of little mantras all over the place in my office and around my house.
So
Another one. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say another one that speaks to that, which Beth really turned me on to, is from a Chinese proverb that says, be not afraid of going slowly, just don't stand still. And I have that one on my computer, just don't stand still, like any movement, because I get overwhelmed. Like even with this book stuff, we wrote a book and now we don't know what, you're supposed to promote it? What? So like even just like one little social post a day, just do something. It doesn't need to be huge, or send out an email or talk to somebody at the grocery or tell them about it, or just one little thing. So I really like that. Just don't stand still. Because any little movement is towards your goal, right? That counts. Things get done in a series of small steps. But it really is daunting sometimes when you think about the computer and all social media, all these different things. And it's different for everyone. But I really like that. Just don't still.
That one.
There's so many faves. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, and I just realized I'm looking down at I'm on a desktop computer, and I have a couple of things that are just stuck on my computer. I guess they're sticky note mantras. I have simply tried to do what seemed best each day as each day came, from Abe Lincoln.
I like it.
And then success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm, by Winston Churchill. So would those be mantras?
Yes. So yeah, and we take those and sometimes even say, okay, you've got a quote, losses are lessons. Like, right? Any type of loss, we pull a lesson from that. Or, you fail forward, right? You failed, but fail forward. Take those. And so you can take all these beautiful like affirmations and quotes, and then you pull in these little pieces to create your mantra and
kind of shorten them up a little bit. And it can be a longer quote, but you just shorten it up a little bit, and it really does help. So when you're stuck in that cycle that we all have, going back to what's comfortable and familiar, and we don't like to be uncomfortable, but even telling yourself, is this discomfort or danger? That can be a mantra,
That's a great mantra. I want that mantra.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that one.
It's a good one. I love that, because a lot of times things are just uncomfortable, and our society is so obsessed with always being, always feeling good. And we don't always feel good. And it's not even supposed to always feel good. And that discomfort is where growth happens.
One of my favorite mantras is "This too shall pass."
I love that one.
Yes, I use this one for when I know I need to sit in my emotions, even though they're uncomfortable. So
I love it.
I've been using mantras and I didn't even know it.
There you go. Yeah, it helps you live more intentionally and get those positive thoughts going that we sometimes stuff down.
And if it's true, like what we find is what we focus on, well, let's focus on where we want to go. It's a way of manifesting where you want your mind to go. So if I want to manifest myself to have a joyful day, I can, spark joy. I can pull that in there. And now I've got that in the forefront of mind. I can focus on it, and it's cued me to head in that direction. Does it always work out? So we say plan, but don't plan on it. Not always, but I
love that one.
On the intention, and it's more likely to happen that way.
Oh my gosh. So many cool mantras that
Oh yeah.
I need to like write down. I gotta write them down quick so I don't forget
Well,
them, or I will get them from your book.
they're all in the book. They're on our website as well. We have a lot of on stickynomantras.com, and we have blogs on there that kind of go with each mantra to give you the background and information. So we really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun.
So when you work with clients and you want them to take on this mantra, way of life, how do you start a conversation with a new client about it?
I think
I
just
mean,
providing them with some go ahead, background info
well,
and
yeah.
but also
Well,
tapping
yeah,
into who
exactly.
they are. Are they
It's
humorous?
basically
Are they
yeah. It's a cognitive reframe, right? In a lot of ways. So if I'm thinking this, well, what's a different way we can reframe this? Let's come up with a saying that supports it. Now we have a mantra, like we built in that mantra. Or if we have an intention that we're unable to do, let's come up with a phrase that cues that thought line of where you want to go and what goals you want to achieve. And I've never had anyone be like, nah. I mean, I've had them do with other things, but never with creating their own personal kind of ideas. Sometimes they need to think about it. Maybe in between sessions, they're going to go and explore and listen to music or read poetry and find theirs. They may need some time to kind of wrap their brain around it. But I've yet to have a client not come up with a mantra that they use.
Now, are there specific instructions that you send them home with?
So we do have like in the first part of our book, we talk about kind of ways to create your own, as far as like think of a trigger or a situation that might be something that bothers you, like, oh my gosh, my house is a mess and my husband just invited people over. We don't know anyone who does that, right, Beth? Her husband is notorious. And then think of the emotions or feelings that this bring up, like, embarrassment, panic, resentment, dread, anxiety, and then what automatic thoughts might be coming up for you. So you may be thinking, I suck at adulting. I can never keep the house clean. They're going to judge me. But then, and also notice some body sensations. Is your jaw clenched? Is your shoulders tight? Because it's always connected to our body. And then thinking of a more healthy, balanced thought, first of all, and then we come up with a mantra. So a more healthy, balanced thought might be, I'm doing the best I can. Our friends are coming over to see us, not our house. I'm sure their house aren't perfectly clean. Like life is messy. And then maybe boiling it down to a mantra, like, I'm just going to do my best. No, from the Four Agreements. I don't know if you've ever read that one. It's he talks about just doing your best, no more, no less. Because if you do more than your best, you'll deplete your energy and go against yourself. If you do less than your best, then you're subject to regrets or self-judgment. So just going to do my best. No more, no less.
Beth, is there anything specific that you tell your clients that helps them to come up with them or to remember to use them on a regular basis?
Well, I think making it personal and something that they remember, that does help with that. But yes, write it on a sticky note. If you're an artist, paint a picture, create a bracelet, poetry, pottery, whatever it is that you do, use that mantra in it. Because again, practice makes permanent the more you use it. And I'm big on habit stacking. So I'll say, okay, if it's hard for you to remember it, pick 2 times during the day, 2 little anchor points, morning and evening. And I want you to, when you brush your teeth, both times, I want you to just say your mantra, right? Just to have it now we're building that neural pathway. We're getting some muscle memory. So kind of suggesting that again, if someone feels stuck, like nothing is inspiring me, we totally do a brainstorming brain dump. Like, let's just start brain dumping, come up with things like sayings that you remember, and we kind of play with it. Yeah. Movie quotes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
See, that's what I would need, definitely, because I'm a creative person, but if you put me in the moment, like create something, I'm like, what, wait a second. What do you mean?
It's like a pop quiz.
Yeah, exactly. Brain just goes empty right then and there. So it's really nice to know that you give, like I said, instructions on how to remember to do them, how to actually remember them as a whole. And I'd love to hear how you guys started writing the book.
Oh boy. we started like 20 years ago before we had kids and we were just out of graduate school. And we're like, oh my gosh, we'd love to work with this with our clients. And then life happened and we have families, and 20 years later we came back to it and we said, well, now we're in our counseling careers and we can see all these different ways we can weave it in. And then we kind of, just a couple of years ago, I guess 2 years ago, we published it now. So it's been a long journey, but it just kind of shows you that never give up. It just takes stick-to-itiveness.
And totally, Helene was the stick-to-itiveness. She continued to send out queries to publishers, and she was amazing. We started this before there was like an online sharing platform, right? So like we would work it in Word and email it back and forth, and I mean it was too big of a file at some point. So we definitely had some but then life got in the way. I ended up moving. We both had kids, jobs, and then when Helene got I was like, let's, this is amazing. Let's go. And we, in a year's time, kind of polished it and shaped it. And it was such a fun process to do together. We met, I don't know how many Starbucks should pay us to, because we spent more time in Starbucks collaborating, eating their yummy breakfast sandwiches. We definitely upped their profit share those quarters.
Yeah. It was such a fun process though. There was things that I use every day, and it just strengthened it for me too.
And what was the reaction you got from the book? What did you hear back from people about learning how to use mantras in their lives?
We've had some nice feedback. There's some people that post and let us know, gosh, I've got to use this mantra every day. Or I know, Beth, you just had someone contact you and say something like that.
After we send out blogs, I have some people who will respond and say, oh my gosh, this means so much to me. Like, this mantra is everything I needed right now. And that, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so nice when you hear things like that. Or when we're doing book fairs, people come up like, oh my gosh, you're the sticky note mantra ladies. We love you. We have a book club and these are the mantras we use. It feels, it's lovely. In fact, I just had, he just graduated from the Air Force Academy, and he told me, he's like, you know what? When you were posting your Instagram, your sticky note mantras on Instagram, it got me through really tough times in school when I thought like I couldn't do this. I was not capable. And I was like, oh my gosh, it works. See, I told you guys, it really works. So this is like, big tough guy who probably was not, exploring mental health, because it wasn't something that they in their culture, that was not something that he was doing at the time. But that was what having those sayings kind of got him through some of the tougher times. And I was like, that's exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's great. And hearing that story is really special, because I feel like, men look at mental health differently. And if something like this, like mantras, can truly help them to better understand themselves and better help themselves to be healthy in that way, I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Because they can use sports quotes and, masculine quotes that fit within that identity that they're more comfortable with. And it resonates with them. Absolutely. And helping them practice that awareness, like, oh, this anger that I'm expressing might actually be my anxiety. That's awareness. And now I can practice these, throw the mantra in there to direct the way I want my thoughts to go. Yeah, it can fit in. I come from a house of, my kids were college athletes. My husband was a baseball player. So when I say like, well, how does that make you feel? They poo-poo me, right? Like, don't even go there. But if I,
that's my son.
Yes, you got to use humor, and you got to use, things that resonate with them. And so I had to learn how to pivot with them. I knew I couldn't do the touchy-feely talk. I had to be more kind of direct, but it works. Yeah, they develop their own mantras that help them through hard times too, without me therapizing them, as they like to say. Stop therapizing me, but giving them the tools, and then they ended up developing their own. It was really, that was probably the biggest reward from doing this for me, is watching them use it.
Nice.
So you guys do blogs, you have, you have social media. How does that work in with the book?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, we try to post mantras daily, and anything background info or things we're doing, events. We have on our website all the book fairs we're going to if you want to come get together with us. And but yeah, it's a really kind of inclusive. I think the blog it's great because we do 2 mantras a month, and one that subscribes can get a new mantra, and it's a really quick read. They're nothing long. And yeah, so we've been presenting at yoga studios and community centers and things too, and we've had really good response. Everyone says that it's a pretty user-friendly way to kind of add some things into your life and add some more positive habits and positive thoughts.
Well,
With the guys that Beth was bringing up, I've always loved movie quotes, and the first thing I start talking to you about with my guy clients is movies and what kind they like, and then it kind of ramps me up for later creating mantras. I know Beth knows one of my favorite, which she got me a T-shirt that says this on it. I was showing it yesterday. It says, "Fuck it, dude, let's go bowling," and that's from The Big Lebowski.
Yep.
And it totally does it for me. Whenever there's something I can't control, and I'm just sitting there reworking it time and time, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go do something different that I can't control. Let's go bowling. But that was one of my favorite movies. And so that always really helps. But I feel like guys relate with the movie quotes a lot more too.
Yes. Yeah. I use the one from Jaws. We're going to need a bigger boat. So like whenever something's not going as planned, and I'm like, we need a bigger boat. And
yeah, we need to revise. Yeah, we need to. And that's what it's about, right? Keep revising and changing. And there's so many great ones that kind of align with so many of what's going on in mental health today. I really like the self-compassion ones because I feel like not enough people use self-compassion in their life, and I feel like they don't know that it actually gets you farther in your goals, and it gets you farther in everything. When a lot of people think like, well, then I'm not hard on myself enough, or I don't keep myself accountable. But it's actually the opposite. When you treat yourself like you treat a good friend, you actually get farther. So I have a lot of the self-compassion ones are, include you in kindness, or a little self-compassion goes a long way. And you can't really have that compassion for others if you don't have it for yourself.
yeah, I think you're so right about that. I try to tell myself, I guess this is a mantra. I ask myself, would I say this to my best friend?
That
like
is the greatest for self-compassion. I love that. What would I tell a good friend? What would I tell someone I love? And then we wouldn't tell it to ourselves. Does that mean we don't love ourselves? Or, so we need to work on that. So I do find that topic to be really helpful for mantras.
Yeah, I think, in that realm is like when you're not at your best, like I'm not at my best today, and that's okay. Because that's like when you're falling short and you're like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? We can reframe that through, a quote like, I'm not at my best, and that's okay. Or, you know what? I'm giving 40%, but 40% all I have to give today. Well, that's me giving 100%, right? So it's reframing it and using that quote to kind of pull you in that direction. Because a lot of us like that tough 80s coach who's going to beat ourselves up inside. Like if I'm not beating myself up, I'm not, moving forward. But it's dysfunctional way of motivating people. We've learned that old style coaching doesn't work. And we recognize now that, this compassion and support and encouragement, that's actually the way to get, better performance out of you and other people. Oh, good play.
Have you ever had to dial back a client and say, you have too many mantras?
I haven't really, but I mean, like, it is good to have a lot because they pop up in different situations. But I think depending on what they're focusing on, like if their therapy goals are really to overcome OCD, then we're going to go with different mantras. Then, I mean, there's so many different ones that you can use.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of them. Like they're situational, right? Like you might need one day, or maybe need another day, and they're not permanent. Like you don't. I mean, I guess if you got a tattoo, maybe, but otherwise you can kind of cycle them in and out, and they're going to resonate with you at different times. So yeah, I think that
I did have someone get a tattoo once. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she tattooed good luck, bad luck, who knows? like on her butt. Because I don't know if you've ever heard that story, but it's about accepting different things that come your way in life. It's a Chinese farmer, and he has a horse, and the horse runs away. All the neighbors say, "Oh, that's terrible luck," and his only response is, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" And then if he had been in the barn, there was a fire, the barn would have burned down with the barn. And again, the neighbors were like, "Oh, that's good luck that he wasn't there. Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" So it's basically about how you just, we don't know how things are going to turn out, and maybe they're positive and maybe they're not. It's kind of about giving up control.
I love that one. I'm
That's a good
getting
one.
all of these amazing mantras that I need to have in my life.
Well, they're all stories, and the quotes and everything are all in the book. So there is quite a few stories like that we use to sort of encourage people to use mantras, because they're a fun way.
Oh, yeah. I think having that story will always give you a reminder of the mantra, right? When you're in a
Yes.
similar situation, right? You're like, oh, yeah, from this story, this mantra, came from that. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Do you ladies have any more books that you have in you that you might write together?
We would love to. We're going to see what happens. But we would love to do like a workbook, and we'd like to just expand it, like sticky note mantras for parents, sticky note mantras for teens, for mothers. That was kind of our initial idea, but we'll see if we make enough book sales.
It's like chicken soup for the soul, right?
Yeah, kind of like a series like that. Yeah, that would be awesome, because we have so many different mantras that we'd love to get out there.
Yeah, we had to really scale this back to fit, so we had so much we had to cut out that we've got a whole nother file probably of a couple, definitely other books in store.
Oh my
I think
goodness,
the
I can only
parenting one
imagine.
would
Oh,
be a
the
good one.
parenting one would be fantastic. I really
Yeah.
think for new parents and maybe for a teen parent, those would
Yeah.
be great. Because
that's
a
a good
new
idea.
parent, they're going to need way different mantras from someone who's got like a tween at
Yeah.
that point, right?
That's
Oh my
true.
goodness.
Love that.
Yeah.
So tell us where we can find you.
We are, you can find the book on Amazon, on Barnes and Noble, Walmart,
Books a million.
on Books. Yes, that's right.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah. So you could go to our website at stickynotemantras.com to learn more about us. We have our profiles on there and just the background info. And then we have where we'll be promoting the book if you want to come out. And we have other goodies that we sell that have to do with mantras, and they're just fun self-help stuff.
As we get inspired.
That's right. There's something else. Yeah. So yeah, we're on the web, and we're on, I think our next one that we're going to be in is next month, October 18th.
Desert Hills.
Desert Hills. Yep. At the Holland Center in Carefree.
Well, I love you guys and your friendship, and that it's spanned for this long. And I have friendships that are the same. I'm actually going to my best friend's wedding in New Jersey, and we've been together since we were 18 years old.
Wow.
And, so I love seeing friendships that really hold the line for a lifetime. You guys have known each other longer than you haven't, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, I feel so blessed. Beth is just an amazing person, and her humor just, as a matter of fact, I just got you something, Beth, that says, good friends or something that make you laugh a little louder, smile a little bigger. And I'm like, this is perfect for Beth. It can't work. It's so
we haven't
true,
seen
though.
each other in a while, so yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, we gotta get together.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming on the show and sharing your mantras. I know that this is going to be so helpful for our listeners. And I highly recommend picking up their book. The name is Sticky Note Mantras, The Art and Science of Choosing Your Thoughts. And that will all be in the show notes.
Thank you so much
for having us.
Yeah. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast. This show is produced by Phoenix Freed LLC, and I'm your producer, Jen Ginty. We hope you found today's conversation Thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast. This show is produced by Phoenix Freed LLC, and I'm your producer, Jen Ginty. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you have a story of your own about when a not yet moment became right now, we encourage you to reach out and share it. You can find more information about being a guest on our show at whennotYetBecomesRightNow.com. Remember, you are not alone on your journey, whether it's a journey of healing, growth, or transformation. Every story matters. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time with another inspiring episode.